Hey everyone, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hi everyone, it's Aaliyah.
And Joe.
Welcome to Convenient Truth. I am back. I'm back from my England trip. Man.
Back.
That trip was amazing. For those of you who have not listened or been following, I've been gone for 7 days in England. So I was in London, and then I went to like this little place called Dorking, and then I went to another place called Guildford, and then I was back in London. I traveled like I was back in my 20s again. It was fun. And Joe did an amazing job.
Well, I wasn't with you.
By yourself, without me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you held it down.
Thanks.
And implemented some great things.
With our child.
Yeah, she's getting dressed by herself, which is like, she wasn't doing that shit before I left. So
I also got my hair cut.
Yes.
But now with the background, it looks like my hair is just like blended in with the background.
It looks like, yeah, it looks weird. It looks like it's just like this like dyed really low patch of like hair that's like colored in with marker or something.
All right, real quick. So we do have some guests on today.
Yes, we do.
Real quick, we met them at a spa. They're two young women who are social workers, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But first, because this is kind of like our Valentine's Day episode, I wanted to just kind of talk about real quick how we met and all that other stuff. Because I think there's still this, I feel, divide between people that are cool with online dating and some people say that it's just stupid.
Well, I don't think online dating is for everyone. Clearly it was for us, but I don't think it's for everyone.
Well, I just wanted to explain our success story here to people that probably haven't heard it before.
Okay.
So do you want to tell it real quick? Because I know that you don't like the way that I tell it because it takes too long.
You take forever.
All right. So you do the short way and I'll interject if I have to.
Okay. So let's see. Okay, sorry. I have to get my brain in order. We went to bed at like 1:00 this morning. It was there was a whole like,
UFC fight night.
Really huge fucking fight last night, and I was up until 1, invested. Emotions were up and down. We have a 3-year-old. I'm tired, so I'm kind of all over the place. But Tinder was my jam. So was Bumble, and so was Match, and so was OkCupid. I'm dating myself now. For those of you who don't know about OkCupid. Or I'm going to go even farther. Plenty of Fish. I'm going to go even farther.
I did Plenty of Fish, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
OkCupid was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Tinder was the fastest.
Yeah. So I was Tindering my life away. I was single, young professional in the mental health field. I was a director in the field at the time.
Wow, this is the short version. You're like literally giving.
I'm trying to set the tone because the tone of how we met is crazy. Because I was not in that space of my life to actually meet someone. I was just in a space of my life of just like, being single, going on fucking Tinder dates, getting free meals, and just meeting great people. Honestly, that's really where I was. Like I was like, I don't care. I'm just having a blast.
Yeah, we were both doing that.
So I feel like that needs to be like said. Anyway, I was on my way to Miami somewhere to meet up with a friend.
Or you're living in Fort Lauderdale.
I was living in Fort Lauderdale. And so I was going out with a friend. We matched while I was in my car on the way to go out. And then I sent you a message because you were too much of a pussy to send me one first.
I was living in Rhode Island at the time. I flew down there to go kind of check out different areas. for a long weekend. And of course, I was Tindering while I was there.
Of course. It's like the nicest guy in the world, of course. So anyway, right. So then we matched. You were like, hey, let's come to South Beach. And I was like, ew, no, because anyone who is from South Florida, lives out there, is not fucking going to South Beach.
It was like my second time down there. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm down here.
So I was like, I am not going to South Beach. But I'll catch you whatever. And so then I went out. I had a great time. All that. And then I woke up the next morning.
On a date. You were on a date.
I went on a date first, and I met up with my friend. Right. And then
we kind of talked a little bit here and there throughout that
throughout my Tinder date I was on. And then that morning I woke up and I was like super hungover. I'll never forget this. And I was like not like feeling well. And I got your message and you were like, hey, I don't live here. I'm only here visiting.
Yeah, I said I was going to go visit friends in Orlando. So we were in Miami and I was supposed to, this was my last day. I was driving up to Orlando. I was going to fly out of Orlando, and Fort Lauderdale is on the way to Orlando from Miami. So I was like, hey, you want to grab breakfast real quick?
Right. And so then cut to me in my bed, I see it and I was like, what do I have to lose, right? He doesn't live here. So, all right, cool. I'll go to brunch. And just to be clear, this is like so ridiculous, but prior to you, no guy's ever asked me on brunch. It's always been like, hey, you want to go out and have a drink? And I'm like, sure. Brunch, I was like, oh my God, this is a day date? I feel like day dates.
I mean,
we met at different.
What time did we meet? It was like 10 a.m. or something, right?
It was brunch. It was like 11 a.m. I was like, this is wild. Okay. I've never done this before.
By the way, this was a technique because
you had a thing.
Yeah. I would always go on just coffee dates and like quick, like I wouldn't do dinners because if you sucked, I wouldn't want to be there and pay for a whole freaking dinner.
And not that you sucked. If it just wasn't your cup of tea.
Yeah. If it wasn't the right person, So then I would just go out and get coffees or
if they weren't as crazy as I am to actually sit with you and entertain all of your shenanigans for a whole 5 hours.
If a girl's willing to go grab a coffee with you and just talk and get to know you, then okay, there could be potential there, right? Even if and you're not spending a lot of money.
If a girl's willing to sit with you and listen to all of your crazy ideas and
most
theories,
are not.
And they're willing, and then they're like, you know what?
Yeah,
I fucking like you.
I'm saving them too. They just have to have coffee and that's it,
So anyway, hanging out, had a really great time, and then it was time for you to go.
Well, hold on. It was like supposed to just be breakfast or whatever, and just
that was it. And then you were gonna go
and whatever, and I was gonna leave. But then we had such a good connection and communication. And we were talking and telling our whole life story, and then before we know it, it's like 2:00. And we've moved on from breakfast to espresso
bar. Now we're at the bar.
And, we're drinking. And I'm like, listen, my flight leaves at 9:00 tonight. I'm supposed to meet my friends there. It's 3 hours from here. I got to either get going soon or change everything up and hang out here because I'm willing to
change my flight.
Right, I was like, but that's a big commitment for you. I said,
huge commitment.
It's a big commitment. I understand if you don't want to.
Yeah,
I can just go and we can continue talking. But if you want to, I will change everything around and stay here.
I know.
And you committed. Knowing you now, I'm like, holy shit. That was a big thing for you to do, especially back then.
I was at a very different point in my life where I was just kind of like, life is short.
But for you had nothing to lose at that time because it was about you're in your hometown.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You're like, if he sucks, I'll just ditch him.
And my plan was actually not to spend the night with you by myself. I already had plans that night with my friend, with Catherine. So my plan was to kind of bring you with. I was
supposed to go to your concert.
That didn't end up that way.
But then I manipulated you out of that. And
you're crazy. I don't even know why I was so
we had
fucking
sushi,
crazy.
Ended up we were back at your house. I met your dog.
Now that I know you did manipulate me and fucking lure me back in. You fucking creep.
It all worked.
Gotcha, bitch.
4 years later, here we are.
So yeah, and then you extended the flight, and then
I changed all my shit around, rental car, everything. Got a flight the next day, got a hotel.
And that was it.
And I never went to Orlando. And then after that, we saw each other every 2 weeks for the next 6 months. I would fly down, she would fly up, and then we ended up getting a condo in Miami and moving in together about 6 or 7 months later.
6-7 months in, yeah.
And then now we're married. That's it.
With a kid,
dog, house.
You never
It
know
can
what
happen to
happens
you.
when you go on a
It can
team.
happen to
You
you.
never know what's going to happen.
It can
Point
happen to
being.
you. Yeah, life changes. But yeah, that's our little
That's our Valentine's Day
story.
segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, let's bring in Nicole and Meredith.
Yes.
We met them at the Bodhi Spa.
Yeah, let's like jazz this up for a second.
Yeah.
So Nicole and Meredith, we met them at the Bodhi Spa. We speak about the Bodhi Spa quite often because we're obsessed with doing the cold plunges there.
Bodhi Spa. When are you gonna like hit us up and
Bodhi Spa
work something out?
Like we go once a month faithfully. We love you. You're amazing. I talk to patients about you. I have patients now going to your Providence and Newport area. I feel like at this point,
20 people over.
I feel like at this point. So anyway, so we were all in the sauna together and we had these two young girls and they were just seemed to have really great personalities. So we start talking to them, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out they're social workers, right? So they're in the mental health field. And I was like, okay, well, this is cool, right? And I think Joe and I both have been talking about really bringing more people just who we like meet, just randomly, who were like, oh, okay, that's cool that you do that. Or like, that sounds kind of bad. Yeah. And just has good energy. And we just want to like talk to people on the podcast and then just have a free flowing conversation and kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. Well, with these girls, there was like the connection between you're a therapist, the social workers, and then they're also going to school for this too. So we kind of wanted to go through and
So they're like, right. So it's great because I want to also be able to talk to them from that viewpoint, right? Of just being in the field or being early in the field, still being in school. I don't know the requirements here in Rhode Island, guys, because I got licensed first in Florida. So just to kind of get into that and then we'll see where it takes us.
All right. With that being said, we're introducing Meredith and Nicole.
Meredith and Nicole.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We're doing good. How was it? So the day that we met these two ladies, it was, I believe, Meredith's birthday.
Yep.
So they just so happened to be just having a great time and, doing some self-care and celebrating a birthday. So how was the rest of your birthday?
It was good. We went to get food and drinks. Yeah. Then we went to the nail salon. So it was a self-care day.
It definitely was.
Nice.
Good.
So let's kind of just start off and either one of you can start first, but just talking a little bit about what exactly is it that you guys do. I feel like what happens is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but for people who are not familiar with the mental health field, I think they hear social worker and then they also hear mental health therapist. And then they're like, okay, well, either what's the difference, right? Or they also, I think there's a stereotype for social workers in terms of what social workers only do. But there's actually other avenues for social workers to actually go down that actually is also just being a therapist. And so I want to just kind of have you guys talk a little bit about what you do, what it looks like, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Sure.
Right. I mean, you guys you're in the same school, doing in the same courses, the same class, same level, everything, right? So it's all the same. Okay.
Yep.
So first off, like, how about what got you into this?
So to be honest, for me, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for Meredith, but for me, I had a fucked up childhood. So I feel like going into this field was like natural. And I think that I've always learned to like give to people, and that's pretty much like what my entire job is like trying to help people and, making sure people don't feel judged. And, I was raised that way. So that's what got me into it. But
yeah. And then mine was more so like role models in my life. So my mom, I always grew up watching my mom take care of people because she's an oncology nurse. So that kind of inspired me. And then my dad's mom, she's just a very giving person. She does a lot with the church. She runs a soup kitchen. And so I think those two people have just been a big inspiration. And I knew I wanted to go into the helping field, but I did not want to be a nurse. So I ended up here.
Same.
Nice.
Well, my mom wanted me to be a nurse. She said, nurses make so much money. Social workers make nothing.
Yeah,
And
I got a lot.
Yeah. And I was like, all right,
This
I'll give it
way.
a shot. One semester into nursing school, and I was like, no.
Done. That is true. That's like such a true story. I always would tell people, I'd be like, if you're willingly going in to the mental health field, being a therapist, a clinical social worker, clinical, psychotherapist, whichever direction you go, you definitely are not doing it for money.
Yeah.
I just want to make clear. Yeah.
No.
Definitely an underpaid
Field.
a field for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting. This is kind of a little side note, and it's kind of like a stereotypical comment here. So the stereotype of a social worker, I guess, obviously not all social workers are like this, but from things that people have heard, what you see on the news or whatever, is like there's scenarios with social workers that are doing unethical things and stuff like that, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No? Maybe I'm the only one.
I mean, I know that there are.
I'm not saying that you girls are.
there-
I'm just trying to talk about what the stereotypical.
Oh, well, for
like,
me,
that-
I'll tell you what I was talking about in terms of stereotype of a
Like,
social worker
like-
is that, because I think we could be talking about different things. What I'm focusing
maybe I'm
on is
thinking of the
that
wrong thing too.
people hear the word social worker, and a lot of times they just connect social worker, the case manager,
Yeah.
dealing more with like the government stuff,
The
and
one
like,
who comes in and grabs
and
the
like
kids
removing children
yeah.
from the house and
Yeah,
doing this and doing that and blah blah blah. And right, like, and you're the case manager that comes and has like fucking 50 or 60 freaking people on your caseload because you work for some government organization, and that's how it goes, and da 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 da. It's the whole fucking thing. So that's kind of what I meant by the stereotype of social worker.
Yeah.
But there are, which again, there is that.
Yeah.
But then there's also clinical social workers who actually like do have private practices and do therapy and on the whole entire nine. So that's kind of what I meant by stereotype.
Also, a social worker in some states, I know that they're doing therapists that are going out with the police, but are they also doing like social workers that go out with
if
police
you are a
officers
licensed
to
clinical
calls?
social worker, then yeah.
Some
You have
states are
a
doing that. Have you girls heard of that?
LCSW or
Actually, yeah, I just got met with a new family that, oh, we froze. That's great.
What happened?
Oh, you guys froze on your end?
We froze or you froze?
No, we did. Can you see us?
Yeah.
moving?
we can
nothing
see
happened.
you.
That was perfect. There was no
That's
problem.
all that yeah, so I had gotten,
So it just looks.
it looks ridiculous.
Oh, you guys are frozen on your end. Oh, okay. Just don't look at yourself. Close your eyes.
I had gotten a new family to work with where they actually, when the police were called, they actually brought a therapist out, not a therapist, I guess like a mental health
Clinician.
Yeah, like a clinician to do like a mental health evaluation for well-being that was being requested. And that was actually the first time I had heard that happening. Usually you hear stuff like that for like kids, like where they'll send this out like multiple places to do like an evaluation, but yeah, this one, it was for an adult, and I was actually surprised. It was the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, there's several states that have required this now for certain
areas,
police instances. They're required to bring a clinician along now, which is great, I think. Sorry, we're going off track a little bit.
Well, yes, I'm going to bring it back because the initial question was just kind of like, what do you guys do, right, as social workers? But what we started with was really how the both of you guys got into your field, which I also think is really cool and interesting and good to focus on for a moment, because a lot of people who I've met, who I've spoken to, colleagues of mine, got into the field for some reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you just like roll out of bed one day and it's like, oh, I just want to be in the mental health field for just no reason. It just seems like it's,
because
there's
it's a lot of
something.
schooling. It's a lot of.
I mean, yeah, you got to go a total of 4 years for your undergrad. And then some people do like, I only had a 2-year graduate program. So I didn't go as long. Some people have 3-year graduate programs or whatever. And then after that, if you're going to get like your PhD or your PsyD, then that's like another like 3 years on top of that, So anyway, yeah. So a lot of people get into it because of some kind of connection, right? They feel they have to just mental health in general in some way, shape, or form. And so here we have a situation where one person's like, yeah, I mean, I really, lived in a, dysfunctional / chaotic / unhealthy environment. And so therefore that's really what gravitated me towards that because I lived it. And then you have someone else kind of saying, well, yeah, for me, it was just modeled so much around me in terms of, people always doing something that either gives back or in some kind of profession of helping in some way, shape, or form. So I kind of want to, I think that's like a good thing to kind of focus on as well, too, maybe a little bit more. So I'll start with, you had explained, Meredith, about your mom is an oncology nurse?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Geez. That is like,
Yeah.
she's not just a nurse. She's an oncology nurse, that's a whole different ballgame.
Explain that.
So for anyone who has like cancer, who's diagnosed with cancer, so that's like the oncology department, I would say, and I'm sure other diseases as well or disorders as well, but
like terminal.
Whenever I hear oncology, I hear cancer is kind of what I hear.
Yeah. So she works in the cancer unit at a hospital. So
right.
Have some sort of cancer.
Yep.
Interesting.
And now your grandmother, you had mentioned her also in a helpful role. And what exactly was that again, just in terms of?
So she worked at a veterans home cooking for them for years. And she just loves to cook. Like she'll literally cook for a stranger.
And she's really good at it too.
Yeah,
what type of food?
Soul food.
Yes.
All right.
So she's just, I don't know, she's just a big inspiration to me. She's really connected with her church. And I mean, I've seen her take in people that she doesn't even know, have people stay with her. She's 80, she's still fits and like she does a lot, and she gives back to the community. So I think just seeing that, I spent a lot of time with her growing up, so I think it just kind of wants me to help people, and also just like where I grew up and all of that too. But that's the main reason.
Yes. So I had something that popped up in my head. So I'm hearing you say all that, right? And then what I'm doing as I'm hearing you say that is I'm making myself a patient saying that to someone else in a therapeutic setting, to some clinician, and to some clinician hearing that and going, okay, so let's maybe kind of address possible codependency and see maybe what's going on there, because that word I think is thrown into the mental health field too much, I would say, I think sometimes. And I think that there's also confusion about what codependency really means. But for anyone, let's say, who goes into a clinical office and there's a therapist there and they're talking about, oh yeah, so I love to help or this and that. And I saw someone helping a lot and blah, 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 and doing this and having people stay with them and blah, 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 blah. That's like every clinician's like, I could see every clinician sitting there going like codependency. So I want to focus on that for a sec because you're in the field and I'm sure you know what codependency is. So have you seen any connection between some possible codependent traits within your family, or is it just strictly you think it's totally 100% healthy, selfless?
I mean, I've never really thought of it, to be honest, but it definitely raises a good point. Like, I don't know, like I really just didn't see myself doing anything else other than like some type of field related to helping people, and maybe that is why, just because like maybe I felt like kind of had to in a sense, but I don't know, it's a good thing to think about.
I don't feel like you're a codependent person though. I kind of feel like you're independent more than anything.
Yeah, I think now.
Just knowing you as a person.
Well, what would be like do you put other people ahead of your own like priorities of yourself?
Well, that would be the main thing. And not even just you, just even if it's like anyone that you watch in your family, like, right? So like, like my dad, for example, I mean, my dad's like fucking
king of codependency,
fucking king of enabling and codependency. But everyone will say who doesn't really know codependency, they'll be like, oh my God, he's amazing, which he is. He's this, he's that, da, da, da. The guy has like given money to a kid, just helped out so many fucking people and continues to do so and has gone through so much. And again, from the outside world, it's just solely the fact that he's just really nice and really amazing, which he will also tell you that he's just always loved to help, and it's his thing. He's a doctor, but he enables. Right. So it makes sense, but he's so enabling and has no like, it's like he sees a little bit, but I'm like, right. Mm-hmm. But again, there's a difference because he literally, I think, has put a lot of himself right in front of everybody else and everybody else's time and everything, and that would really be like where that codependency piece comes in, is really like putting all of your feelings, your thoughts, your behaviors, your everything behind really somebody else's and having those people instead kind of become more important due to whether it be your issues with self-esteem, anxiety, control, fear, rejection, feeling powerless, helpless, whatever. So that's kind of like, from that aspect, that's why I also kind of want to talk about it, because I see it in my family too, but I didn't see it until I got older and then also did my own therapy and then was like, oh my God, my dad's the biggest fucking enabler in the whole entire world. This makes sense as to why I'm the way that I am, you know? Like,
yeah.
You always learn about yourself if you really go deep on your parents. Like, ask them questions like how they were raised, how their parents were. Then you start realizing, wow, there's some traits that I've taken on about myself. But I also kind of wanted to get into like,
are you gonna go too far off?
Well,
because we still have to go.
I want
to hear from everyone here.
Go. Continue. You got a good flow going on. Yeah. I'll kick it in at the end.
Yeah. Okay. And then for you, Nicole, you had mentioned, well, what you said was you came from kind of like a fucked up environment. We're going to switch that maybe, right? To like, just like, chaotic, dysfunctional, unhealthy.
Well, let her explain it. Maybe it was fucked up. I
don't know. But yeah, talk a little bit as much as you feel comfortable talking about maybe
like
just that.
I'm probably like an overshare at this point.
Okay, great.
I don't care. So when I was like 13, I think my dad kind of left. I guess he cheated on my mom or something like that, but he's also an alcoholic and he's still an alcoholic to this day. Mm-hmm. We have a really fucked up relationship, my dad and I. He'll talk to me and then tell me go fuck yourself and then come back in a year. I think the last time I talked to him was maybe Thanksgiving ish, because he had to grow the fuck up and whatever. So anyway, so he left, and then when that happened, my mom kind of went through a midlife crisis and started dating somebody half her age and was never home. So my dad had left, my mom was never home, and then
are you the only child, or?
So it was me, my brother, and my sister. I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So my brother's only 18 months older than me, and then my sister's 4 years older than me. So my brother and I kind of threw ragers at the house because my mom was spending weekends out. My dad wasn't living there. So I kind of got into a lot of trouble as a kid, as a teenager. I got into fights. I cut class. Did a bunch of stuff that I'm not super proud of today. But yeah, so
we all did.
So what I even now, I mean, my whole family lives in New York. So I'm from New York originally.
Where in New York?
Nice.
Long Island.
Okay, where in Long Island? Now that we're breaking it down just because
Aaliyah's
I'm from New York. So I'm like, where? Yeah.
Do you know like the towns of Long Island? Because people always ask that and I don't know how to answer. Because Long Island's
I know, it's so big. I mean, some of them, not like all of Long Island, but
So I'm from Deer Park, which is like
okay.
Well, your
almost
cousin lives in Long
the
Island.
middle.
Oh, wow, yeah. Got it. Okay.
So I grew up there. I moved here in like 2013.
Okay.
But I grew up there, so my whole family's still in New York. And I love being distant from them just because I feel like it really kind of helps our relationship because I'm like the opposite of my family. My sister is like attached to my mother, and in her eyes, my mother can do no wrong.
No wrong.
Perfect. But realistically, like my brother and I know like that's not the case.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's not the case for you guys. It sounds like that's your sister, right? It sounds like for your sister. And this is what's so interesting too, right? Is how we can all grow up in the same household in the same environment and have totally
Just
different fucking perspectives and understandings of something.
Yeah.
So wild.
My sister like is my mother, and my brother and I are not at all. My brother and I are like carefree, like funny, and my sister's very like she's my mother. Like she wants to dress like my mom. She's just as codependent as my mother was. Like it's
Yeah. Well, she had a few years just with her and her mom when she was born. So it's a different bond, I guess.
Yeah. So you know, I think that the way that my mom like raised me, like she wanted me to be a nurse because she said that I was going to make a lot of money or whatever. That's like something that's been running in my family is like money. So like people always talk about like gifts and giving money and stuff like that. And I like never cared about that. Like I used to have to tell my dad, like, we want you at Christmas. I don't care if you don't have gifts.
Right.
But, you know, he still would be like, no, I'm too embarrassed. Like, I'm not going to go.
Mm-hmm.
He would like miss out on holidays and shit like that just because he didn't have gifts. And I was like, that's not what this is about.
Right.
So I've always kind of like tried to, because my family didn't have like somebody come in and like help us out. And to be honest, my brother and I went to therapy as adults. My sister never did, but my brother and I did. And we both like realized like, wow, we should have been in therapy as kids going through the shit.
Yeah. But that's great that you went though. You know, you're still super young too. So you still did go young.
We'll call it young. Sure.
you went young.
Also too, like the therapy, I mean, as someone who has been in and out of therapy literally since I was like 14, but also works with adolescents and then has them also now as adults and kind of sees throughout like the whole process. It's interesting because on one side, I'm very much like, absolutely, right? Like prevention, get them in early, the whole nine, understandable. On the other side, though, it's very different doing therapy on a 14-year-old brain with 14-year-old insight and, you know, all of that versus 25 or 35 or 45. And so, like, I know for myself, let's say, doing therapy when I was 14, I don't remember any fucking thing. Like, I have no conscious memory of what the fuck I got out of therapy when I was 14. Now, that could be several reasons. That could be one, I just really wasn't into the therapist. I didn't really vibe, which probably also was a piece of it. But I also think another piece is just also a lot of it is just subconscious, right? Which makes sense then. Meaning I don't have it stored in my conscious memory, but I have it stored in my subconscious memory. So therefore, when I'm 25, if someone tells me something that maybe my 14-year-old self heard, it'll still click. I just don't have the awareness, right? So that could be the other piece of it, which also that makes sense to me, you know? But yeah, I mean, I think that regardless, even if let's say you got started early or not, you know, like depending on, I think so many factors.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, at least you're in it now. And then now you just are understanding it from this perspective, which is totally different from a 14-year-old perspective. So.
Yeah.
Or younger.
I mean, my brother and I definitely rebelled when we were teenagers. Like, and that could have been just because, like, we weren't getting any attention because like our parents weren't there, or what, or it was just because we had freedom to do whatever we wanted. So we did what kids do and make dumb choices. But yeah, I think also too, I think that also caused me to be super independent because I was the first one out of my siblings to move out, let alone leave the state.
How old were you?
I was 21 when I moved.
Okay.
And I was the first one to move out. I was the first one to leave the state. And I'm the only one to have gone to college. Pretty much most of my family does like labor work.
Nice.
Or like reception work.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I'll feel proud once I graduate, but yeah, so I think the thing is with my family now, because of like the way like I'm so put together with like having a job and I'm in grad school and yada yada, like from the outside I feel like it looks like my family did a great job raising me, and like realistically it's like I really wanted to get into this field because I wanted to be that interception, because it took me a while to get here. It wasn't easy. I had a lot of issues, anger issues, stuff like that. So I can like use my experiences, I feel like, to like work with some of the clients that I work with, because I've gone through similar things that they're probably going through. I've dealt with substance use in my family, mental health in my family, neglect and all those things. So I think it does help with my ability to build rapport with my clients. And I definitely pride myself on that piece of it. So it wasn't
this is an amazing story, because like I'm sure it seems like you're aware of this, but like you are the pivotal moment of like changing the direction of the culture of your family. Like when your kids and your great grandkids and grandkids look back, like they won't even realize that great grandma made the shift from was the culture and now this is the culture, and you're doing it. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a similar story as well. And so I can relate to. I get it. Yeah.
That's
great.
Completely. So in terms of what the both of you have patients, right? You're both in the social work field. So in terms of what, let's say, a day in the life of a social worker at this level that you're at looks like.
So I'm going to speak because we have different roles.
Yeah.
So for me, I do a lot more field work. Like I'm not so much office based. I'm kind of always working with families in their homes. I do a lot of court stuff. I have to go into court a lot. And yeah, I mean, realistically, I kind of make referrals for clients. I set tasks and action plans and stuff like that, to kind of help mitigate any kind of risk that may already be involved. And I really love it. It's definitely hard. It's definitely a hard job. It's not for the weak, I would say. And it's hard to compartmentalize, your job from your daily life. But, when you have that like one case that you close and they're like crying that you're leaving, where like when you first arrived, they were like, fuck you. I feel like that really can take over all the shit that you really have to deal with on a day-to-day, which is a lot. I mean, I get threats, I get name called, I get the stereotypes yelled at me about it. But again, when I have that family that like successfully closes and appreciates what you've done for them in the time you've been with them, I think that really makes my job.
Do me a favor if you can, and when you say when I have a family that I successfully close, just so that people understand what that is, right? So what does that mean to successfully close a case?
So realistically, they've met their goals. So if like their goals were to like get into substance use treatment, if their goals were to, get the kids going to school or get, domestic violence classes for maybe a family who's going through domestic violence incidents where there's intimate partner violence or any of that. So realistically, if I'll set goals and tasks for them to comply with, I'll speak to collateral contacts just to kind of get another side of what's going on and, help guide them in the direction that we're looking for them to be in, which is ultimately a safe environment for the family and minimize any potential risk. So, at that point, we do like a risk assessment at the end of like a case to determine if, the case is set to close or not. And if the case isn't, like if I called, one of the collaterals and they were like, oh yeah, they're not engaged in their substance use treatment or they're not engaged in their therapy. And, that's a concern I have to address with the client. But if I contact collaterals and they're compliant with everything that, we were looking for them to do, then, that's a successful close.
Got it. Okay.
What about Meredith?
Huh?
Meredith.
No, I know. I'm not, I can go so many ways with this because it's kind of like opening up just a lot of. So this is for the both of you, really. Something that you said that stood out was you said when they meet the goals that are set for them. So let's get into that. So the goals that are set for them, are they goals that you guys create with the families and they're like, or are they like goals that you guys just have there that are like standard goals that like, let's get into what that is.
Well, I think it's interesting because the agencies that we work at are kind of like intertwined in the sense that like we get cases from her agency and they set the goals that they want us to work on. So then we're kind of following the goals that they set and we're giving them updates because they're our funder. But I think you can speak to like where those goals originate from. Yeah, so basically we try to create the goals and the tasks with the family directly because one thing that like I always tell my clients is like, your goals are not a checklist for us. So like, don't just go to therapy because we're telling you need to go to therapy. Don't just go to substance use treatment because we're telling you need substance abuse treatment. Because if you do that, we're not going to get out of it what you need to get out of it. So when we, get out of the picture, the chances of success are a lot lower if it's not them doing it because it's something that they're willing to do or, feeling that they need to do. So it's really, honestly, it's that you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink kind of thing.
Right.
Where I'll, if there's concerns that bring my involvement in. And my job is to really set kind of goals for them and with them to address those concerns that came up. So, I have like different resources that I'll throw into there, like contacting certain providers or whatnot to make sure that those goals are being met and help people navigate that because a lot of people also don't know how the system works and how to navigate, health insurance or how to navigate any of these resources or find resources or any of that. So, so I do that. And those goals, like, usually I'll talk with clients because the whole process, I do like a full assessment in the first 90 days of opening, a case with me. It's a full 90-day assessment and, we kind of go over like any kind of goals that they feel necessary to work on, but obviously also addressing the concerns that brought them to my attention.
That brought them there to begin with, right?
Yeah. But then when we would like put a service in, like, where Meredith, is employed, we'll have like a meeting and discuss like why the case is involved, and kind of like what we're looking for the family to work on. But then obviously like her agency will develop
their own plan. It's not like they like take our plan and use that. You know, they work with the family and develop like what kind of safety measures they're going to put in place and how they're going to navigate some of the issues that are coming up.
I might be the only one here that doesn't know this, but like, how do you guys get involved? Is it because of there's like some sort of police intervention, and then they call you in because something happened, or how do you guys get? What are the different ways that you guys can get involved in families?
So realistically, it's people reporting. So it can be somebody, like I'm assuming, Aaliyah, you're probably like a mandated reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So if, you know, somebody comes to you and you have to like file a report because you're mandated to do so, that's how we become involved. Right. So
like a report that somebody is
so like a mandated reporter are individuals who have certain careers who, based on, let's say, the law and based on ethics, we have to report something if we hear. So like when people come, let's say, to therapy, right? Therapy is confidential. However, we have to break confidentiality in the event that someone comes into our office and
says they're going to go blow a building
says
or
that
something.
They're going to either hurt themselves or hurt somebody else, harm someone who's, I think, 65 and above, harm the elderly, and then also harm a minor.
The poor 64-year-olds.
I know. I know. I know. And each state is different with that. I'm not too sure what, Rhode Island is, but it's usually pretty standard for that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So is there any other ways besides like a clinician? Like
it can really be anybody.
Cop, teacher, right? Cop, teacher, doctors.
Anybody. Your neighbor.
Yeah, anyone.
Like a neighbor can file a report if there's a concern.
Yeah, if they're suspect, but yeah.
And then, depending on what the report states, obviously that will determine if we try to look into it or not, to determine if a case needs to come open with me. So.
I'm going to hold on to this because I want to go because you just said something and I'm like, oh my God, we got to go here. But Meredith, because it sounds like the two of you have different positions, or just do a little, so explain what it is that you do.
Yeah, so when I first started at my job, I was carrying 5 cases, but we do intensive in-home services. So we also provide crisis management. So the typical worker will get 5 families that they're seeing 3 times a week, sometimes more, if the family needs more support or if there's crisis. And basically what we're doing is we're working under someone's license, but we're creating a treatment plan that gets approved based on the referral issues that we get. So sometimes the referral, the actual referral sometimes is coming from an agency, like an agency where Nicole works, or Department of Mental Health. Sometimes it's even voluntary. So we have, we just launched a new program where we can take families that are boarding in the ED. So, because obviously, so the emergency department. So families that go to the hospital because their kid is in crisis and they really don't know what else to do. They'll put our service in, which is free of charge to the family, and we'll work with them, and it's voluntary, so they can close out. And we basically just look at what's going on, what the behaviors are of the kid, and we work around those. But we also work with siblings, parents, the whole family, and we just work on different interventions based on those behaviors. But now I was able to move up in at this company, so now I kind of oversee a team. So I don't have my own clients, but I'm training new staff. I'm going out in the field with them for their families, but it's all kind of connected. Sometimes I do have my own clients where I'm covering, but it's just a little more flexible now, the role I'm in.
Got it. Okay, that's so interesting because I based on when people speak, you get a good understanding after a while of just like personality. And so I'm listening to the two of you speak and I'm getting more information and I'm like, oh my God, that actually makes perfect sense now. Right. Whereas like Meredith is the one that now oversees, let's say like a crew, we'll say. Right. So I would put her under more of like management / whatever, which is going to involve, well, just a lot more annoying shit because now you have to oversee everyone's like stuff, right? So now you're that person. So a lot of paperwork too, I can kind of see, and just a lot of stuff like that. Versus where Nicole is is more like in the nitty gritty. And just based on talking to them, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And it's actually really cool that you
It's funny.
it's really cool that you girls are like really good friends too, which you just recently became really good friends. Am I correct?
Yeah,
We just recently
we
met.
actually met at orientation back in August. So
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Now you're like best friends, right?
literally, yeah.
But it's cool that you're in like different areas of the same industry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you get to kind of pick each other's brains and understand the other side of it a little bit better, you know? Yeah.
That's what it was, I think, because I feel like it's when you have friends that work completely out of the field, like after a long day, like it's hard to talk to somebody that just has no idea of like the things that go on.
Yeah.
When you have like friends that work in like retail or business and stuff like that, it's harder. I think it's harder for them to kind of relate, and I kind of feel like there's really no point, and like I'd rather just
Sit with it.
yeah, because I don't know, it's just, and it's also a lot to put on people that don't work in this field.
Understand it.
They don't ask to have that.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
we're able to kind of use each other as supports when we do have a bad day, or like we're seeing similar things on a daily basis. So.
While going to school together.
Yeah.
So
Right.
We're just trucking through it together.
dealing with the
Yeah.
stress of grad school, which is in itself a lot. And then throw on like the emotional toll of the shit that we have to see on a day to day.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
So I think that's I've definitely seen that where it's hard when you have to like go into the nitty gritty of like your job role and like explain everything. It's like so annoying where I could just be like, oh, I did blah blah blah, and she's like, oh yeah, got that.
Like, yeah, right.
Like that sucks. Where somebody else is like, oh my god,
You have to do that?
Like,
Sounds like
Right,
so
right.
much. Yeah.
Or I could never do that.
Literally, I feel like that's what I hear a lot from people when they have any idea of like the experiences and like the stuff that we just see on the day to day. They always respond that way, where they're just like, "Oh, I don't know how you do that. I could never do that," and stuff like that. Where like if she tells me about her shit day, I'm gonna just be like, "Yeah, that fucking sucks."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's I think it's really good to being with you. I've realized it's very important to disconnect from the work afterwards. And yeah, I mean, obviously talk about it with your colleagues or whatever, but like bringing it home is could be not very healthy, right?
I mean, it's not healthy.
But at the same time, you can't hold it in.
No, you got to do something.
You have to
with it,
release it somehow,
Right.
you know, and that's good for you two. You guys can talk to each other. But I think like Aaliyah is amazing at it. I don't even get how she does it, but she does, and she can turn that switch on and off. And it's very genuine. It's not like she's just like avoiding it because she gets patients calling her in the middle of the night and stuff all the time. But she's able to do it, and it's legit, and it's a skill. I
mean, I wasn't like that when I.
Yeah,
You're not. I don't think a lot of people are like that when they first get in the field at all. Yeah, I mean that takes time to kind of acquire. I think there's a couple things with that. One, it takes time, and just what's the word I'm looking for? Just doing it, just being in the field and kind of doing it, But I think that the other thing, to be quite honest, that it is that I I know that I'm really good at compartmentalizing. I can compartmentalize my fucking life away. I mean, honestly, like I already know that shit about myself.
There's a balance there.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, so now what I've managed to do is that because I know that I'm good at it and I could easily do it in the most unhealthy way possible, I just take something that I have that I know how to do in an unhealthy way and then just end up doing it in some kind of a healthy way.
Justifying it in your mind.
I'm still utilizing it, but I'm like, listen, there are certain things in life that at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Your brain has to, on a certain level, to some degree, compartmentalize. Okay. For individuals who've been through trauma, whatever trauma is for you. Okay. At a young age, you had to fucking compartmentalize. How the fuck were you going to get through all the horrific stuff that you possibly went through? Okay.
Yeah.
What makes a difference though, is that you're able to go back to those drawers that you shut and open them up
as long as you're willing to go
at certain
back.
times to be able to process those things versus keep it all, so it's just how you use it, really.
Yeah, you have to go back and
You gotta go back.
process. You can't just keep shoving that shit
I mean, you
down.
can.
Well, you can, but it's not going to be
It's
good
not
in
the
the long
healthiest
run.
place to be, right?
Yeah. But it seems like you girls are very self-aware, which is great. How old are you again?
I'm 32.
25.
You're 25?
Yeah.
25, 32.
25, 32. Okay.
Right. Yeah, you're still like young.
Okay. So no, because when we had said something about age, and Nicole was like, "Well, I'm not too." Yeah. And I was like, "Well, how old is she?" Because she looks like so young.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, no, I get it now. Like 32, like you're in your 30s."
I
So
could have
you're, like, in
sworn
the
you
beginning
said
of your
you were
30s.
like 28 or something.
I know, I
like
thought
that.
so
And I
too,
thought you
for some
girls were
reason.
both like in your like mid to late 20s. Okay.
Okay, got it.
Well, you look
got
very
it.
young.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a lot of people think that like when they meet us that we're like the same age, and then they think that we're like we've known each other for like our whole lives.
Yeah.
Somebody once asked if we live together. We don't.
Yeah.
Some people, well, this is what I'll say some people just click, but I also think that there's a reason why people click, because I'm a firm believer in quantum physics and laws of attraction. It is no surprise why it is that every single person I meet or who I have near and dear to me in my life also has anxiety. There's no surprise about that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reason. There's no surprise that every single one of my best friends also come from dysfunctional homes or homes where parents are no longer together or something. And there's no surprise.
Yeah.
Like you gravitate to people for a reason, and sometimes it just takes a little longer to figure out what that reason is, but it's always for something.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is wild to think like that. What, like 6 months ago, we didn't know. Maybe we didn't know each other because honestly, I mean, I have people that I've known for like growing up. My friends from Long Island, I've known since I was 7. Like I still talk to them to this day. So like that's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
Know somebody and be close with them. But I said to her even just the other day, I'm like I don't know how I would live 32 years without you.
Yeah. It's,
Instantly, like I knew she was going to be my friend when we first started talking, just because I go off like vibes, I feel like, so I can tell that like her vibe was going to be something I like meshed with. But I said I didn't think that it was going to get to the point where like I literally don't go one day without talking to her. And if I do, I'm like, are you mad at me?
I think friends you make in like college and like after your like 20s and your mid 20s or something are like the best friends you're ever going to have in life, because at that point you have a good idea of who you are, where you want to go, what you're trying to do. At least you have an understanding of what direction you're going in, the type of people you want to be around, and then you get to choose. But your childhood friends were kind of just injected into your life via school or your parents having friends with kids or whatever, and you're just with them all the time, and then you grow up and you're like, they were cool then, but like we don't really connect. We just known each other for like freaking 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it's like, again, we're evolving, right? So everyone who we meet at a different phase of life is going to be a different relationship, a different bonding, a different everything. Like, I mean, I have so there's like 5 of us, right? Like me and like my like best friends that are just my sisters that I've known since I was like 14. That, I mean, to be honest, they're the ones who probably will always know more about me than anybody else that I meet.
Yeah, see, in your case, actually, you are very good friends with some of the kids that you grew up with.
Oh, their family.
Yeah. So I mean, it happens,
But there's stuff that like I would tell Meredith before I would tell
some of your other friends. Yeah.
It's nice. When you're able to like actually choose, like, I want to be around it. Nobody's like forcing me to be with this person. And my parents aren't like saying we have to hang out with it. It's like, that's the person I would like to hang out with all the time. You call them up all the time, and that's what happened with me and Aaliyah.
I want to go back actually before I forget this, because I've been holding on to it. So, okay, when you were talking about opening a case and closing a case and the whole entire nine, and we were getting into like the goals, etc. One of the things that popped up in my head, and this was when I was living in, well, this is many times when I was living in Florida, I would have to report, unfortunately, stuff to just different states, because a lot of the patients that I would get when I was in Florida, because I worked for treatment facilities, these are people who come from all over the world, right? So I'd have to call different states. But I cannot tell you how many times that I've called. Now I'm getting, as the clinician, I'm getting one set of information, right? Okay. So there's someone who comes in my office, they're telling me their perspective, information. That's what I'm getting, right? Now I hear something and I'm like, oh, it's like, I gotta tell you, like when someone drops something in session that I know I have to fucking break confidentiality on, it literally is the worst feeling for me.
Do you tell them?
Yes, but it's like, it's like, of course I have to tell them, but it's like,
why'd you say that?
I hate it. Like sometimes I'm like, I wish you never fucking said that so that we don't have to go. But it's like, I get it, but it's excruciating because although I understand why it is that this phone call has to be made, I still am like empathizing with the other. It's like you're in everyone's shoes and it's a really icky situation sometimes, So I just feel bad all around. But there were so many moments where, so I'd get the information, I'd have to call. All right, bam. I would call, I'd pour, I'd give them all the information that I got from this one person. All right. Then what happens is that in a lot of states, what the process is I'll call, make the report. They now have the information. Someone from that area, right, of just like from that department, right, will then contact the person or people, whomever, who I gave them the information on. And they'll reach out to set up a time to come look and to come, I guess, kind of follow up on the report, right? Which never makes any fucking sense to me because in my mind, again, because I'm getting one person's story here, right? So there's lots of things that I'm also missing out on, lots of stuff that I'm sure is right, but I'm getting this person. So then when I find out that you from over here contacted these people and gave them a fucking heads up on what day and time you're going to come to freaking peep the scene. Okay.
You're saying your patient loses trust in you.
No, what I'm saying is this is now going into the system.
You got a lot of people involved. It's really going deep. I'm like, it's getting kind of lost.
But okay. So let me explain it differently. So when I have to call, I have to.
We're frozen on their end.
Are we? Okay.
Are we back?
We can hear you, but the picture.
Oh, we can hear.
Turn your camera off and turn it back on, and we'll see if that works. Because that just happened.
We can't do that. You can refresh.
You can refresh. Yeah.
How's your Wi-Fi over there?
Good. How do we refresh?
I don't know.
Is there like a link somewhere that you can just like press like return and then
you can like close out of it and then like come back and I'll let you back on.
Okay, hold on.
So basically, and I'm going to go into this slowly so that you understand really understand because there's
Like,
lots
this
of
is like deep and long.
yeah, there's like lots of layers to this. That's why.
Okay.
Okay.
We're good? Okay.
So
Are you guys, hold on. Are you girls paying attention? You guys know where she's at with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Here. Yeah.
I'm like,
so I'm the clinician, right?
Hi,
I
clinician.
get
Hello.
I get something from you, right? I get information from you that basically
Me, I am the patient.
You're the patient,
Okay.
right? And maybe you're telling me a story about how your partner back at home has been abusing your 3-year-old daughter that you guys have together and blah, 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 and the whole nine, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
There's people who've come and shot up the place and da, 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 the whole nine with a 3-year-old kid, da, 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 da. And now I'm like, it's a true story. And now I'm like, fuck, right? So now I got to make this call to the state, to whatever state they live in.
But do you tell me that you're going to do this?
Absolutely.
Okay,
like,
so I know.
Absolutely. Right. But I tell you from jump.
Yeah.
So before we even get into a long relationship, you know in that first session
If you say
that the minute some shit comes out of your mouth like that, it leaves me in a situation, right?
Okay.
Now, I call the state that they're in. Say it's, I don't know, Kentucky. Okay. I now have to contact the Department of Health, right? Their Child Protective Services department, okay, of that state. Yeah. And I have to now make a call saying, hey, I've just got some information on some child abuse, blah, 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 blah. Here's the information I have. I know that this is the father's name. It's happening at this house. This is the phone number that my patient gave me. And now I leave it up to you. I did my part. I'd leave it up to you, right? Okay. Now, in some states, every state's different, so I can't speak for it, but in some states, what they'll do is when the person on this end from CPS, Child Protective Services, I'll say, okay, gets the call.
Oh, maybe those are the people I was thinking about.
Gets the call. It's now on them to have to, I guess, go through the information that they got, and then they follow up if they can with the information on whoever it is that I was making the call about. Okay.
Yeah.
So what they'll do though is they'll contact you and they'll say like, hey, da, 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 we just got a call, da, da, some concerns. We have to come out and look around or whatever and follow up. What's a good day and time? Da, 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 da. And they'll ask them that first. You're abusing your 4-year-old, 3-year-old child.
This
is why I called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now they're contacting you to set up a day and a time when they can come and follow up to make sure that your environment is okay.
They're gone again.
What do you think that means though at that point?
To who?
To you. What is that going to give you time to do?
My whole life is fucked up.
No, what does that give you time to do?
Oh, straighten things out.
Yes, it gives you time to straighten things out, make sure everything's good to go. Da 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 da. I'm gonna cover up any kind of holes I have in the walls, stuff like that, and make it look. I understand, and make it look as good as it possibly can. So then, when they go and they check things out,
it's always fine.
It looks okay, and it's like okay, da, da, da. And then I'll get word back on my patient's end that nothing happened. And I'm like, motherfucker.
Does this
make sense? Does this make sense to you now?
Yeah. No, I get it. So they have time to prepare.
They have time to prepare things to cover anything up, to do whatever it is that they can do.
Before people follow up on it.
Right. Though, in some instances. So
yes.
So in some cases, situations, depending on like what it is, if it warrants an emergency response, then they don't get that time.
Okay, this is a great question. What would be a warrant, like an emergency response? What would be an example of an emergency response so that I don't even know actually what that would be.
Somebody overdosing, or like abuse to the point of like physical injury.
So then what do? They just show up?
They just show up.
They just show up, and there's hotline and crisis calls and stuff like that. So there's people that work on call that do like the after 5 shift and respond to emergency calls like that. So
okay. Okay. So, right. So then in that example that I gave you guys in that specific situation, it's more of, right, it's like, I'm just getting information, I'm passing it along. I'm not really giving anything that's like happening right now, or that's something that's really huge. So therefore it's like, we don't know what this could be, basically.
So certain states require therapists like you and whoever else to
all
report.
States. That's all states.
But I'm sure it's like different levels of things, or it's all across the board. It's the same
I'm
shit.
sure that I'm sure for each state there's got to be maybe some minor differences. I could only speak on like Florida and like the states.
And who creates these rules? It's like the representatives,
so this is the state
government,
right? So each state has their own set of laws and rules to follow for each.
It's literally the state's mandate.
Yeah.
So there's no is there like a federal law that has
no, these are
required the states to do this?
These are all states, because
I'm probably getting in deep water here.
No, you're not. But it's all based on states. So there's a one test from the what is it, the NBCC, right, which is like a national test, right, for all clinicians to take. And then that test, though, is not the same, right, for each state. I mean, each state has different tests, I think, or if it's each profession has I don't really know how that works, but I know it's a national test.
Yeah. Okay.
So, no idea. Okay.
I mean, my brain goes in like all kinds of different directions when I think about all this stuff. It's probably too deep for our podcast right now, but I can just... I just start thinking like, all right, who implemented this stuff in the first place?
Yeah, who's doing it?
There was a bill that came out at some point somewhere in the federal level or state levels, and they were just like, hey, we need to require everybody to report this stuff. And who wrote that bit? Like, I go fucking deep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what's
the
reasons why they did it? Because then you get like, then it's like creates all this like. And listen, you girls are doing an amazing job. And I think you girls morally do the right things and everything. It sounds like it, right? But like these positions in government where they kind of inject themselves into the lives of people. I get it. I get the reasons. I understand it. Like, you don't want people to hurt themselves, but it's like we treat everybody as like a little baby. Like the state is like, okay, you guys don't know what you're doing in your house, so we need to come in there and check on things. I
mean, well, actually, technically, they're only doing it for populations that actually really can't take care of themselves in that healthy way. Because if you think about it, what they're saying is, if you're a minors, I mean, there are very few minors I know out there that really, can like fully take care of themselves in all fucking levels. They said if you are mentally, physically disabled, handicapped, bam, okay, 65 or older, bam. So they're not saying from 18 to those are the ages that they're like, okay, like you can make some kind of choice. Some logical, choice for yourself. So, but when you're certain ages and certain situations going on, that's difficult to do. So now we have to step in. That's when
so I guess as like a community, as like a America culture, we've decided all together that like, all right, some people in our culture
struggled to
defended. Okay. All right, I guess. I think there are some instances that the system has been taken advantage of, probably, right? Of course.
Naturally.
Government run programs, But anyways, sorry. That's I'm like, I go, and then Aaliyah brings it back, and then we talk about normal stuff.
Complicated in a sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I always wanted, that was like one of the things where, social workers and mental health counselors, and again, I don't know the vibe of it out here in Rhode Island, but I know that just going through my schooling and everything and all that stuff in Florida is very interesting, because you see the the rift between the social work population and then the mental health counselor population. And I never understood, well, now I do, but when I was going through it, I was like, why is there like this fucking like thing? Like mental health counselors don't really have a huge, what is that? Just like a huge organization behind them. It's actually fairly new. The social work organization, or the one like the head of like, you know, like social work, I don't know what it's called, but they've been around for a very, very fucking long time.
And they're government funded. Right?
Well, the board, like like for you guys, what's it called? What's it?
NSWA.
NSWA? Okay.
Social Work Association Board.
Yeah, the National Association. Right. Whereas the National Association, let's say for mental health clinicians, it's fairly new. It's been around for a long time. But compared to social work, it's new. So we don't have, there's a word that I'm missing that I can't think of, but we don't have as much, I don't know, I guess as many like people backing, I guess, the mental health counselors association versus the social work association.
I already know why. It's because like most therapists are like independent, or they work in their individual groups, right? As opposed to like social workers.
Well, I think when
state.
social work, I think so that's because I think of how social work, like when social work first came out and it was a thing, I think that was the focus of social work, which was just working for government funded or whatever facilities, case management, etc. Today, that's not, that's not the case. But because, right, I think that was the really original, groundwork for it, or just the understanding of it, then yeah.
Well, and two, like, I think it's important to note that, like, despite the fact that our roles are different, like, we're still both social workers. And, like, even as we progress, like, with our academics, and we'll still have the same degree when we come out of college, we're still going to be doing different things, but pretty much aiming for a similar goal, which is all in all to help the people that we're working with and minimize risk within families and, individuals' lives. So, I think that people, when you think of social work, or even, there's so much that goes into it that I think people don't really understand. And, we kind of play a lot of roles, I think.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of, like, I know for me, the main reason, because I considered a mental health program, but I think for me, like, social work is so broad. Like, people don't realize that you can be a medical social worker, a school social worker, you work in a psych unit. Like, there's literally, like, you can work in a prison. There's so many different things on top of, if you want to go the route of having a private practice, literally basically just giving therapy to people. But you're a licensed independent social worker. So I think it's like, for me, like, I like knowing that I have that flexibility where, like, if I want to try something else, like, I'm considering doing my internship in a school to see if I like that setting. But then again, maybe I would like hospital. So I think it's so broad that, like, yes, case management and, like, working for, like, the state are like the common things that people think of
right,
but there's so much more. So
I actually hate being called a caseworker.
I'm sure.
It's just like, because, like, that's just,
people assume that's what you do.
yeah, like, I do manage my cases, yes, but, like, I do so much more. And I think when you say the word caseworker or whatever, I feel like you're not taking in the component that, like, there is the social component to it. You're building rapport with the people that you're working with, and you're out in the communities looking at
paperwork.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you're on a file. This is like face to face, dealing with every day. So
would you say that a lot of your colleagues that you work with or you run into along the way have a similar mentality as you guys, like really genuinely wanting to like help people, or is it kind of like a mix? You kind of run into some that are just like they're just doing it for the money or whatever.
For money,
well,
you don't do it for the money.
But like I don't know, maybe there's some other things that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like a lot of people are like you?
Yeah, I think, like, because before I started working where I work now, I worked at a substance use facility, but it was a Section 35, which means that the patients were court ordered to be there.
The place is making
So
money no matter what. It's like
yeah, so
yeah.
I think there it was a lot of like I noticed that a lot of people that worked there were in recovery themselves.
Oh.
However, there was a fair share of people that just did not treat the patients like human beings. Like they were just more so focused on like it was a job to them.
Right.
And like even like the way sometimes people talk about it's I think there's a big stigma when it comes to substance use. That's a whole other thing. But
It's a whole nother
sometimes the way
topic.
people talk about those who suffer from addiction is just really disheartening. And so that kind of like, because that was my first job out of college. So that kind of like, there was like both sides. I saw both sides, like people that genuinely cared, some people that did want to give back because they're in recovery, and then other people that would refer to them as junkies. And I'm like, well, why are you working here if that's your viewpoint? But some people really do just like, they take a job because
Need a job.
yeah, so I think it depends. Where I'm at now, I think mostly everybody's on because it's hard work, and like I think everybody that works there has a passion for it.
And even still can't sometimes stick around just
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
Yeah, it's intense.
I think it depends the agency you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why one of the reasons why we had wanted to have you girls on was because we got like a good vibe from you girls, and like you're younger and you're like kind of maybe shifting the culture of this industry that you're in a good way. I'm hoping, right, where it's like genuinely really trying to help people and maybe coming up with like creative different ways to do the job that was done in the past differently, you know, and.
Well, what people don't realize too is like how, like I was kind of saying before, how much like human interaction plays a role in whether or not people become successful in the goals that they're trying to set.
Yeah.
So like putting a supportive service in, like where Meredith works or whatnot, like just that relationship alone can be so beneficial for a family that had we just asked them to do it without like a service or something like that, it may not have worked out as well. And, you know, I think it's throughout like all of my careers that I've worked. So I worked with like at-risk youth when I got right out of undergrad. And then I moved to New Jersey for a bit, and I worked in the state prisons in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, I worked with inmates over there. So I got to see like a different population and kind of advocate on their behalf as well. And, you know, I feel like all the different like areas that I've honed in on, it kind of like hits you, like you realize like where the faults are in the system. And, you know, I know now like with our graduate degrees that we're, you know, pursuing, we talk a lot about policy and how that implements, you know, how that's implemented into social work, and sometimes it like benefits, but sometimes it also doesn't. So I think like mainly I think that there's just so much like to go into social work, you don't need unless you're going to be like a licensed like like a LICSW, like you can go into social work and have a psychology degree. You can go into social work and have a criminal justice degree. Because it is that broad. But like Meredith said, like now at this point, I feel like for the most part, I would say people in my agency, you know, I think anywhere you go, there's going to be good workers, there's going to be bad workers, there's going to be people who care, people who don't care, people who are burnt out, and then people who are fresh eyes into the field, you know. So I think that people will learn whether or not they love this enough to stick on it.
But don't you think this is like, it's like such a critical job that like, wouldn't we as a culture want to like filter the people out that are doing your job but are not doing it to the best of their abilities?
Oh, 100%.
And how would you go about doing that? Like require therapy for anybody that's going to go out in the field or whatever and actually communicate with people? That would be a good one. Self-awareness, right? But they probably don't do that, right?
They try to teach like self-care skills or like,
I think it's also too like I don't know, like it's like it takes a team, I think, and like if you have if you feel like you work somewhere where you're really supported and you have you know, good people that you can turn to, and like you don't feel like you're alone, because I think that like that's a big thing, like having a supervisor who is really invested in like your well-being, not just job, I think helps a lot. Because I'm sure we've all worked places where like that in itself makes it so difficult to work there. So I feel like if you have that support, it's really hard to stick with it. And I think that's too like why a lot of people just, because like if you're not making a lot of money and you're dealing with
makes it worse.
stuff, like
Burnout's going to be
burnout is
Yeah,
a huge thing.
for sure.
It happens in there's a lot of turnover when it comes to this field.
Okay.
And you know what? I feel like it's so fucked up because especially like for therapists and even social workers and stuff like that, like you're coming into this person's life at such like a crucial point for them where it could be like they just lost a parent, or you know, they're dealing with substance abuse issues or whatever it may be. It's such a crucial point for them, and they're getting to a point or trying to work towards a point where they're feeling comfortable and trusting of a stranger. Help guide them through this, and then for that person to just disappear or change up, and then having for that person to then have to retell their entire story.
Right.
Like they have to retell it. I mean, I think that impacts a lot of people. I mean, I have cases where people have told me they've had so many different workers in the past, and like they're just so surprised, like if I've stuck around for the year, you know what I mean? Therapists too, like I have clients telling me all the time, like, oh, my therapist is leaving, I have to wait on a wait list again for a new one, and you know, all these things. So I think for such a field that's so like important, I think, in people's lives, and especially like the consistency, if it's because we're so underpaid and overworked,
it's tough.
Really difficult field for sure.
Oh yeah,
sure.
And a difficult field to be like for people to find success in, because if you're going to therapy to try to address your anxiety, but you're getting a new therapist every 6 months, the chances of you feeling like that's successful for you is going to be smaller.
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel like, you know, if this industry, and then there's probably stuff like this that happens, but like, is there a way to move what you guys do into like private, like entrepreneurial sector? And I guess that would be with like what do they call them? Not
Like an LI.
Yeah, like nonprofits or whatever, something like that.
Well, she wouldn't be on her own then. I mean, if she works.
Well, I don't know. No, I'm just saying, like
they could easily open up like their own private practice and do the same exact stuff that they do, but just do it in their own practice form.
But you wouldn't be, but you wouldn't have like cases and stuff, right? Because that all goes through the state.
Well,
yeah, like I work at a nonprofit. It's just like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like
it's you guys get funds from the state though, funded from the state.
Yeah, we get a lot of grants.
Okay.
From like, I'm honestly not really sure where they all come from, but like, yeah, so obviously there's still like contracts and stuff that we have to follow, but like, I know, I actually follow this lady on social media, and she opened a group private practice for social workers, and like they do like hip hop therapy and like really cool stuff. And I thought that was really cool because like she basically put like her own twist on it. And was able to like employ interns that she's had and relate to people like of different cultures that like maybe don't believe in therapy and like use hip hop to get their buy-in and stuff like that. So like there's definitely ways to do that, which I would love to do at some point in my life, but I think it's they don't really also teach us, like if you ask about a private practice, they'll talk about it, some of our professors, but it's not anything that like is really taught in our curriculum, which I find interesting too, like how to have your own business in this field.
Yeah, I feel like somebody could really like with somebody that's like you girls with a real entrepreneurial spirit could take this shit to the next level and get funding from like celebrities and whatever, and actually do the work in the right way, I mean, it would probably be in small communities, like a state by state thing, but like, it's something I think that could.
That's what we're kind of working on in grad school, is like grant proposals. And
Right.
So that's how it kind of all works, though, I guess. Huh?
Yeah,
Sort of.
yeah.
Yeah. But then it's somehow along the way, I feel like it gets corrupted or something.
Well,
yeah.
because
And then
if you're
getting
going for a grant, then obviously you're still staying with the system. And this is why, like, if you were going to do this on a private level, you would have to basically just find an investor, right?
Yeah.
Find someone who's willing to just privately give you money and start your own. Yeah.
Yeah. But it could. That's how this is going to change, I think. Get like lots of people like you and recreate the system in which you hire people and the whole process of going out and talking to people. I mean, not saying like everybody agrees. I mean, through this conversation, it sounds like it's not broken, the system, but it's tough. There's a lot of barriers and whatever, red tape and shit.
I'd say so.
And it makes your job difficult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, like kind of wrapping it up a little bit, but I did have like this question, which kind of relates to what we were just talking about, is like, what do you girls feel like you were doing different to help change any kind of stereotypes in the industry or whatever, just on an individual basis, like just doing your part, and feeling like, if I just keep doing this, somebody sees that I'm doing this, maybe they'll start doing it, a colleague of mine or whatever, and maybe we can actually change our little community within your space.
I think for me, I think it's really important for me to build a relationship with clients and families and gain their trust, going in and just meeting them where they're at. I always tell families, you are the expert of your family. I'm not I think it's a lot of times people struggle with the power differential. So I try to break that that barrier and let them teach me things. And one thing that I've been really big on is working with families from different cultures, not going in and assuming things, asking them to teach me about their culture, teach me about the food they like to eat. And I've worked with people that speak a ton of different languages. And I think that really helps, so they feel I think the biggest thing is they just need to feel like humans, not something's wrong with them or that we're here because their life is messed up. Just letting them know I'm a support, that's it. I'm not here to really dictate your life, but I think just trying to learn from them too, because
that's a big one.
Yeah.
And I think for me, my the agency that I work for, I think there's a lot of stigma around being sneaky. Whereas I'll literally meet a family for the first time that I'm working with, or a client for the first time, and I tell them right off the bat, I'm no bullshit. I'm transparent. If a concern comes up, I'm going to address it with you, because if I just go and address it with upper management, the chances are that they're going to want to react on it rather than having me work with the family to come up with a resolution together. They're oh, Nicole, go react. You know what I mean? So I tell my families straight off the bat, recently I had a client who admitted to very hesitantly admitted to me that he's continuing to use substances, and I said, look, you should be honest with me, because if you're not honest with me, I can't guide you in the right way. So I'm not here to judge you, but I'm here to let you know these are what your options are, A, B, and C, because right now what you're doing isn't working for you. So letting people know that I'm always going to be transparent, whether it's a positive thing or if it's a negative thing that they don't want to hear. I feel like it doesn't benefit a client, nor does it benefit me to hide something, that if it's a concern, to hide that from them rather than address it together, and we can work on it as a team. And I think that has definitely helped a lot in like my ability to build rapport with clients that I work with, because I think they're so used to like people kind of like coming around the back and you know what I mean, that type of stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to be me.
Right.
I heard like through this conversation, I got this thought, right, of like, I think about your business, your private practice, right? People come to you, people seek you out, and they pay you, right? They call you up. You're not like knocking on doors and like going in there, right? Unfortunately, in your situation, that is kind of your job, and you're just showing up, and nobody's like, these people are not like, oh my God, I really need them in there. Most of them, some of them maybe, but you know, and that's where the tension comes in, right? If there was a way, and I think everything we talk about ends up being like this like cultural shift, right? And it takes time, but this would probably be one of those things. So we'd have to inject some sort of cultural change where people, where we're as a culture, we create opportunities and for these people to voluntarily seek your services, because everybody needs help, right? At some level, like there's all kinds of people that need Aaliyah's help, but they don't really maybe live in an area or talk about therapy or whatever with their people, or it's not promoted enough, or who knows why people call you up, but somehow through with the grapevine, people call you up, right? Why can't it be the same way with you guys, right? But it would take it's more like marketing and promoting this. No, but there's also a different.
The whole context, though, is a different context. I would say, because when people call me, right, on their own for XYZ reasons, there's no actual like. It's not like you call me and let's say, like and let's say you don't do the suggestions, the things that I, suggest that you do, and that there's, in their minds, a huge consequence. Yeah. Now, in my mind, the consequence is basically that you're just not helping yourself to improve if you're not doing anything. So you just stay stagnant and you still stay in the same fucking life that you're in. That's the consequence I see. But it's not an actual consequence. Like, it's not like if I don't meet these treatment goals, then I don't get my kids back, or then I don't do that, or that I feel like the consequences for people when it comes to the services, specifically these services, are in their minds higher and greater, right? So why would people, just think about it like that, why would people who are already living an unhealthy life, who are already doing something dysfunctional, who either don't know that it's dysfunctional, or who just don't really give a shit that it's dysfunctional, or it's the norm to be dysfunctional, okay? Contact people who I see can tell them that if you don't do this and you don't meet this fucking shit, then you're not getting your fucking kids back. Why the fuck would I do that?
I'm like talking here, but as you were talking, then I was like, okay, maybe the deeper, realist solution is because those individuals that eventually call you up, if they didn't call you up, they may not be self-aware enough to know something about themselves, or maybe they're doing some fucked up shit in their family that's causing them to show up at the door, right?
Well, I think that falls into like stages of change too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if you're not ready to change, then it doesn't matter. Like, they're not going to call Leah. Like, if they're not in a position where they feel like they need to make that shift, where there's a difference when it comes to like an agency like one of ours would be like, okay, they may not acknowledge that they need to change yet, but we're going to tell them why they need to acknowledge
why they need to change, because if you don't, then this, that, right.
Whereas when they go to Aaliyah, they're like, okay,
they're ready.
Clearly, I know something needs to change.
I'm ready to take that step.
Once again, like I said, it's like a cultural thing, and I'm always like living in this world of like I'm trying to. It always ends up like the what I'm trying to say is like this fictional utopia world. like if we all just like we're more self-aware and it was promoted and we all just talk like, But that's exactly why we have this podcast, is to talk about these things and start, like, we're doing our little imprint for the next 50 years, and maybe like a certain number of people will listen to some of these podcasts and start thinking differently. And that's how you change culture. It's nothing that's going to be overnight. Right. So
yeah,
I don't know where I was going with that, but
I will say is people, because like my agency, it's not as like as hers, like where like they have to do certain things.
Right.
Are a little more voluntary, and I will say there definitely is people that are crying for help and they do want the services, but then you get the ones where they want nothing to do with you. So definitely is people that want the help. It's just unfortunately there's really not a lot of help available, and sometimes like there's people waiting for years and months for services, and then the ones that really could care less about having it get them because of
right. That's a good point. Right.
Yeah, I mean, as in, at least in America or in culture and society, I feel like this is like the number one thing. Like, they're giving like billions of dollars to Ukraine and all these wars and military and stuff like that. Dump $1 billion into this self-awareness and like just making it more open and for people to go to therapy and just having
normalized
movies and talk shows.
But I think
on
we're
Netflix
going.
I know we're going deep in this.
No, I don't think we're going deep. I do think we have to wrap up, but I do also think that we're already. That's where I see it going. When I first got in the field, this is now like 2006, and I always say this. I can honestly tell you, in all the facilities that I fucking worked at and did all that shit at, okay, from 2006 until, well, now I don't work in the field like that, but even just like in my own practice, when I first started, there was never a minority in any of these treatment facilities.
And men
it was
too, right?
It was all Caucasian, a lot of it was more, and it's interesting because sometimes it kind of like ebbs and flows, especially in treatment, but like white females, men, sometimes it would be more females than it would be men. But it just that also kind of like, but no, like never saw anyone who was black, never saw Indian, never saw Asian, never saw, like this is in 2006, cut to today, Jesus. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I almost kind of hate saying this, but honestly, like to be a minority practitioner now is like fucking gold. And it's insane because it's like the amount of minorities I'm getting right now, which I fucking love because I know culturally it's not talked about. I have such culture, like in the Indian culture right now, I can't tell you how many patients I have. And I'm loving it because in that culture, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah.
To do therapy. So I think now in 2023 compared to 2006, I've seen what you're talking about already start happening. So I know it's,
slow progression.
Yeah.
Progression in the right direction, but it is slow. And I think there's still a lot of flaws within the system that need to be resolved for us to get to that place where people don't feel stigmatized and don't feel embarrassed or whatever it is to seek out these resources or seek out this help. But that's why, like, what I was saying about us in school is that they're trying to kind of teach us stuff from also the macro level. So like talk policies and, kind of trying to paint the picture for our clients to those policymakers and explain to them like what really is needed. And I think for us being on like the front lines of it, I think we have probably the best insight as to what's needed in the field today than, people who have been in our agencies 20 plus years.
Absolutely. Which is another reason why I was excited to have you guys on too. And then we really have to wrap up.
Okay.
another reason why I was excited to have you guys on. And I would love to talk more, whether it be even just, outside of this or whatever, is that being in private practice now for however long. First of all, when I work by myself, so I don't really have anybody to kind of like bounce things off of. I'm not hearing about a lot of the new shit that's going on out there. And if I do hear about it, it's because I'm actively seeking it out on my own versus just being, so, I mean, besides the psychedelic treatment that I'm into now, besides that, I don't know a lot of maybe some new shit that's out there now, because when I was younger and when I was working for facilities, it was like thrown you're constantly talking about it, hearing about it, stuff like this.
New techniques.
New technique, right. Yeah, just
I was like, new shit, like you're finding out like new fucked up shit that's going on in the houses and stuff.
New modalities,
like,
just
what
new,
fucked up shit are people doing today?
So this is why I was excited to also have that standpoint, have that viewpoint, because I'm like, to be honest, they probably know, being that they're in their grad school program right now, right? Like they're like in the field right now and they're in it. They probably know or have heard of way more modalities out there right now that are new that I still haven't even like heard about yet. So absolutely, it makes tons of sense.
No, it was,
which is why it's needed. It's needed.
It was amazing meeting you girls, and
yes, I loved having you guys on. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to you again.
And love getting out like a different perspective for what we do. So
yeah, maybe we'll see you at the Bodhi Spa again.
Yes,
people will plan it accordingly.
Another plug for Bodhi Spa. Big shout out Bodhi Spa.
Another plug for Bodhi Spa.
About that cold plunge though.
Yeah, you got to get in there for more than.
Got to do it.
You did it actually pretty well. They went in for what? How long?
It
did
got
you go?
better as you guys went. Yeah, it got better as you guys kept doing it.
Not as long as you. No. Maybe we made them 3 minutes, maybe.
But
that's still huge.
That's way better. I mean, everybody else was doing 10 seconds.
Right.
But we did more than.
Yeah, you did good.
30 minutes that Aaliyah did.
Yeah. Aaliyah she takes a bath in there hanging out.
Love it. Compartmentalize. See what happens when you use it for certain things. There you go. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. Definitely we'll keep in touch for sure. And hopefully we speak to you guys again.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice weekend. Bye.
So wrapping up, Convenient Truth.
Yeah.
Done. I hope everyone listened, got something out of this. I thought this was really great, and I'm really happy to have them on. What we're going to be doing more of, Joe and I talked about, I was telling him last night that I can't wait to start having just more people who we run into, who we speak to, who we vibe with, who we just are kind of like, oh, okay, cool, come on the podcast, come talk, and just speaking to just people, right? Who just like, who are in the nitty, doing it,
whatever,
living their life, doing whatever they're doing, having great energy while doing it. That's what we're connecting to, and just love to have on this podcast. So we'll continue to have that.
Yeah. And happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy V-Day.
And that's about it.
Bye.
See you later.